Ok, salutare tuturor! Astăzi am de făcut un induction pentru un nou job, care o să-l încep mâine. Și acest induction o să-l fac online. Am nevoie să îl trec, să răspund la cât mai multe întrebări corect. Dar pentru asta trebuie să urmăresc fiecare filmuleț în parte. Și în acest film o să-mi explice și o să-mi dea o parte din răspunsuri. Vedem dacă îl trec. Cam așa arată induction-urile din Londra, mai nou. Ești pe un sancier, pentru a avea dreptul de a lucra, trebuie să treci acest induction. Unii îl fac online, alții îl fac în site. Adică la locul de muncă. Aici unde o să merg, ei îl fac online.
Ensuring the safe delivery of our projects and delivering the promises we make to our customers is key to our success, and we can't do this without you. Safety, health, caring for the environment, and the quality of our work is at the heart of everything we do. We want you to be happy, safe, and healthy. And at Waits, we all play our part in working safer together. This extends to the wider community too, where our behaviour and buildings can have a big impact on the people and neighbourhoods in which we work. So thinking about our actions at all times means you and your colleagues stay safe, and together we deliver great work. Safety, health, environment and quality, known as SHEC, is vital in any industry, but no more so than in construction, where injuries, illnesses and even fatalities can occur. But with your help and in working together, we can create a safer, healthier workplace. And this starts at the beginning of the day by making sure you have the right personal protective equipment, known as PPE. As well as protecting you from harm, it should look professional. Your PPE must always be clean, undamaged and fit for purpose. If you need specialist PPE, you will have been briefed by your supervisor and will receive appropriate training beforehand. The first time you arrive at your workplace, you will be given an overview of the objectives of the site or project you're working on. You'll be made aware about all project-specific information, from where the toilets are to who is the overall boss. You'll also be informed what to do if you witness or are involved in an incident or accident, plus all emergency procedures. If you're working on one of our construction sites, before you start work, you'll have a briefing meeting called Start Right with your supervisor. This is to make you aware of and understand all the SHEC risks you could face that day, and what you need to do to deliver your work safely, defect-free, and to the highest quality. For many jobs, there'll be a mock-up area on site to help you fully understand the task, the quality expected, and how your work may interface with other trades. You'll also find out what to do if you're unable to carry out the job agreed. In other areas of our business, such as maintenance, a point of work risk assessment will need to be completed. This is instead of a Start Right meeting. At Waits, we want you to speak up if you don't understand something, need something, think something is wrong, or know of a safer way of carrying out a task. Everyone who works at Waits has access to our stop and go cards. On the stop cards, you can report something that you've seen that might be dangerous or hazardous. And you can use the go cards to share something good and positive that you've come across. Please use these cards to let us know what you think, as it helps us to understand risks and behaviours so that we can work to eliminate harm and improve our working environment. Certain activities require permits, especially high-risk tasks like demolition, excavations, and hot works. As well as permits, these jobs require planning and risk assessment. Think ahead and always make sure you know the SHEC control measures and why these have been put in place. Be smart, be safe. If you think there's anything that compromises your health or safety, or that of a colleague, or which has a negative impact on the environment, please speak up. This is vital if you cannot complete your specified task to the standard expected. There are many reasons why this can happen, including bad weather, poor light, or even the previous trade not finishing work properly. Communication and looking out for one another is so important. We rely on your input to help us achieve zero harm. Please question things that aren't right, not just unsafe working practices, but if you or someone else is feeling anxious, harassed, or discriminated against. At Waits, your mental and physical well-being is very important to us. We want a positive environment that's free from bullying, discrimination, and unsafe working practices. If you have any concerns, call SafeCall 0800 915 1571. Our industry has one of the highest rates of mental illness, so if you're worried for yourself or a colleague, please don't ignore it. Direct employees of Waits can call our confidential employee helpline on 0800 048 2702. And if you're a supply chain operative working on one of our sites, you can call the construction industry helpline on 0845 605 1956.
Asta a fost partea 1 și acum noi trebuie să răspundem aici. Deci că dacă am înțeles cu atenție ce au avut de făcut, o să dăm click aici, aici și aici continuare. Și acum apar întrebările. Asta este întrebarea. Ce că, care este scopul cardurilor alea galben și celălalt roșu? Păi să-ți dea un motiv. Asta. Al doilea. Aici zice că domnul super șeful de echipă de dimineață a ținut un speech despre assessment și metodele care se lucrează în acea zi pe șantier. Cum zice că dacă tu n-ai înțeles, ce ar trebui să faci? Avem așa carry out. Zice că să continui să lucrez. Că ramsurile care trebuie semnate dimineața sunt numai niște hârtii. Speak up before to start. Zice că să vorbești înainte de a începe lucru. Să mai întrebi încă o dată supervisorul ce s-a discutat în foile alea acolo. Și asta ar trebui să fie. Ask one of my friends. Să întrebi un prieten. Să nu bagi la cap. Și dăm în asta, să vedem. Acum ar trebui să mă lase să trec la următoarea filmă. Da, am trecut partea 1, urmează partea 2.
More obvious are the safety and physical health risks we face. All of these are potentially hazardous situations. Minimizing risks in all of these areas means we can help keep each other and our environment safe from harm. Waits takes a zero-tolerance approach on the use of drugs and alcohol. We know people under the influence of drugs and alcohol have poor judgment and put themselves and others at serious risk of harm. For everyone's safety, we undertake random testing on our employees and operatives, and will test you if we have reason to believe you're under the influence of drink or drugs. If you suspect a colleague has been drinking or using drugs, please speak up. At Waits, we're committed, as far as possible, to helping employees who may be suffering from drug and or alcohol abuse. If you think you have a problem, please seek help by talking to your supervisor or a colleague who you feel can support you to get the right professional advice. Although you will be aware of the hazards you could be exposed to during your working day from your start right briefing, it's important to always manage potential risks from these hazards effectively. If anything changes during the day, or you notice something that may cause harm, you must stop work immediately and speak to your supervisor. For example, when lifting or distributing materials, know your environment. Think ahead. How will you distribute materials and equipment around the site? Have you worked out the weight of the material? Do you need mechanical aids to move them? How can you prepare to avoid last-minute changes? Be smart, be safe, and remember, if you haven't received proper training for equipment, do not use it. You should always be briefed by your supervisor or trained by the manufacturer on how to store and handle materials and prevent damage to you and them. If you haven't been briefed, then stop. Seek advice immediately. As well as a correct license, if you're operating dumpers, cranes, excavators and forklifts, you need to produce a valid fit-to-work medical certificate. Anyone using a maintenance van on a public road needs a valid appropriate license, and any damage to vans must be reported immediately. Working up high has its own set of risks for you and people below you. When working at height, think ahead. Do you have the correct equipment? Is it tagged, identified, well maintained? Make sure equipment and materials are stored correctly so that they're not going to fall, causing harm. Falling material is a daily risk at a workplace, especially at height. Safety controls should be in place to prevent anything falling. Always think about protecting those below, and make sure by checking the fail-safe exclusion zones are in place all around and below your working area. If a delivery looks damaged or is not stored properly, speak up. Excavations always require a permit. Plans and drawings should be viewed beforehand. Any utility services you identify should be clearly marked, and there should always be continuous use of cable avoidance tool, or CAT, and Jenny as some of you will know it as, scanning whilst digging. Consider all potential buried services, not just the obvious. For example, street lighting. If you're working inside, think about services in the walls before you start any drilling. Be aware, plan ahead. Imagine if you have an accident, or cause an accident to a fellow worker, or cause an incident which harms a member of the public. What impact would that have on you and your family?
Ok, din nou dăm aici. Altfel, dacă greșesc, probabil îmi repetă din nou filmarea. Nu știu, vreau să vedem. Aici zice că dacă folosești ceva, o piesă de lucru, eu știu, un echipament la înălțime, ce ar trebui să asigur. Ensure is right, training de echipament, așa, că ai training-ul făcut. Și put the controls in place to protect, da? Să pui maneta aia care conduce ciripica aia. Așa. Aici ar trebui să fie toate. Toate-s bune. Așa zic, acum nu știu. Dacă... Sper să nu mă păcălească. Să-mi zică că are cu mai multe răspunsuri corecte sau cu 1. Așa. I need to surface penetration permit. By what asta ar trebui să fie. Și dăm continuare. Ok, am făcut bine.
In any workplace, you need to know the emergency plan if there's a fire or another incident requiring an emergency response. Know where your nearest exit is located. Know where the nearest fire point is to your work. talk to your supervisor and find out how to raise the alarm if you discover a fire. Knowing your workplace, thinking ahead, and speaking up can save people and the environment from harm. It can save lives. Hazardous materials such as oil, paint, adhesives and chemicals can be found on our projects or part of your daily work activities. A control of substances hazardous to health assessment, known as COSH, will provide you details of the health risk of the material, PPE, which may be required, where and how the material is to be stored, what emergency procedures should be followed in the event of a spill, and how the substance will be disposed of. Be smart, be safe, and don't use substances unless you know exactly how to handle them. If any material spills, remember, stop, contain, notify, do not ignore it. Use wait, stop and go cards to highlight concerns and share good ideas about how we can constantly improve. All confined spaces such as trenches, manholes, service ducts or other voids can be especially dangerous to work and operate machinery in. Don't ever work in a confined space unless it's been correctly planned through with your supervisor. A risk assessment will be required for the task, and emergency escape procedures are in place amongst other safety control procedures. Looking after your physical health is important to us. Diseases caused by exposure to substances like asbestos and silica are a real threat. Silica is found in sand, stone, rock, concrete and brick. Most of these dangerous particles are invisible to us. Some you can see, such as wood dust. Inhaling any of these increases your risk of developing lung diseases, including cancer. According to the latest government statistics, 20% of all workers in the construction and maintenance sectors have reported respiratory problems associated with dust creation at their workplace. Together, we can eliminate these risks. All of these activities produce dust. Be smart. Eliminate or keep your dust to a minimum. Make sure you identify activities where dust cannot be contained, and also those where it can. A dust cube is a simple way of minimizing and removing harmful dust. We have many other dust extraction devices for tools on site, and we expect to see you using these. If you aren't sure which one to use, just ask. Masks must be fitted correctly. Make sure you've received face-fit training. Without this, you will not be protected. Remember, the mask is the last line of defense and should only be used alongside other controls. Do everything you can to avoid creating the dust in the first place. Think ahead, and if you see a workmate in a hazardous situation or not using the correct equipment, speak up. Asbestos is a no-go. You'll be made aware of the location of any known asbestos on site before you start work. Do not disturb asbestos, ever. It's deadly. If you come across asbestos or suspect a material to contain asbestos, stop work immediately. Report it, and it will be dealt with by a trained asbestos removal contractor. There are also many other risks to health on site that at first glance might not seem dangerous. For example, when lifting materials, protect your back. Make sure everything you need is transported safely to your work area so that you're not making unnecessary trips across your site. When working with vibrating or noisy equipment, you must be trained to wear the correct PPE and work on a rota basis so you don't risk damaging your hearing with loud and continuous spells of noise, or exposing yourself to dangerous levels of vibration that can affect and damage your hands over time. If you're worried that you're being exposed to excess noise or vibration, then speak up.
Okay, we repeat this part. But now it's long. It's long one. Și aici vorbește de asbestos. Asta se oprește locul, informă supervisor de contaminat. Astea toate sunt bune, da. Acum, eu știu, asta e ușoară, aici nu e niciuna din astea decât asta, că trebuie să ai și aspirator, vacuumataș, and jobs to protect the... Asta e. That's sure to that one, if it's good, with all the questions, all the answer, I think so is, yes. Maybe I'm lucky that we finish
Needles
fast.
are another threat. Known locations of needles and other sharp objects such as broken glass should have been cleared before work starts. If you spot a needle, do not touch it and report it immediately. Waits is committed to having a positive impact on the environment and the communities in which we work. We manage waste responsibly, and we ensure we don't create noise and dust which could impact on people and their communities. We take great care in conserving protected species, natural habitats, and cultural assets. Waits is proud to have been awarded the Queen's Award for Sustainable Development, and we take our membership of the Considerate Constructor Scheme very seriously. We must all follow steps to make our workplace and surrounding environment a safe, healthy, and good place to be. Construction and maintenance workplaces can produce huge amounts of waste, and at Waits, we're always thinking about ways to further eliminate, reduce, and recycle the waste produced on our sites. As a minimum, you must place waste in the correct container. Each container will be clearly marked, so you know exactly what goes where. Putting waste in the wrong container is expensive. It means it can't be recycled and can be dangerous. It's illegal to mix hazardous waste with non-hazardous waste. Make sure all waste is disposed of legally. Speak to your supervisor or site manager to ensure this happens. At the end of each job, please make sure your work is completed to the highest standard before moving on. Your supervisor will tell you at which point you need to request an inspection. These are known as hold points. Your supervisor will inspect and photograph your work. These records are important to show work has been completed properly and safely. If you ignore a hold point, you'll be asked to stop, take your work down, and start again. All of our sites have an impact on members of the public. Waits understands the importance of protecting everyone around us, so making sure that members of the public are safe is a priority. Lock down the site so no one can enter out of hours or during hours without authorization. Securely fence all gaps and holes. Lock down ladders, towers, cranes to prevent access. Lock down plant and equipment. Unload correctly on public highways. Fit scaffolds with debris netting, brick guards and fans. Use proper signage and temporary crossings. Make sure pedestrian tunnels are well lit, free from debris. Have public areas checked and signed off when work is completed. Plan vehicle movement to minimize disruption to public. Store materials securely to prevent theft, loss, and vandalism. If you're working inside an occupied building, don't leave your tools and equipment around which vulnerable people may have access to. Restrict access to your work area. Ensure that public areas are free from trip or slip hazards at all times. If we make these practices our habits, if we're smart, think ahead, and speak up, we can make everyone's future safer, healthier, and brighter. Sharing the responsibility of our health and well-being and looking out for one another means we'll work safer and better. Safety, health, environment, and quality is not just a set of rules. It's about maintaining a great community and promoting excellence inside and outside of the workplace. Collectively, we have the choice to improve our environment. Let's make sure we look after each other so that we can all be safer together.
Asta e cea bună, întotdeauna trebuie să fie separat. Așa. Aici trebuie asta să nu se la spațiu pentru oameni. Aici. Toate. Da. Aici ar trebui să fie a tuturor. Aici zice că trebuie să folosim echipamentul ăsta. Și aici zice că asta identifică riscurile și îți face un plan de muncă. Și cred că am făcut numai 91%. Și trebuie să-l fac din nou. Bă, mă. Ok, guys, see you next time. And that's it.
At Waze, we know we're